We're gonna do a what's in my bag video, because I just got back from the AMD AI conference and boy, that was fun. This is mainly to do with live streaming, because I did a live stream with Jeff from Craft Computing. You should check out that, because that was a lot of fun. But I got a question about my little laptop and my setup and all this kind of stuff. So first off, what's in my bag? So the bag itself is a Tarian, like, camera bag. This is really overkill. Like, this is an absurd backpack. This is just, look at this. I really want to downsize. There's real camera stuff in here, but the stuff for live streaming, my GPD Win laptop, which we'll come back to. This is a DJI Mic 2. The DJI, I mean, they really have it figured out. I got a couple of these aperture mini lights. These are also handy. There's a bunch of cables and boring stuff in here, but there's also the DJI Pocket 3. This is really handy. I actually lost the battery for this somewhere in San Jose around the Hilton Hotel. Oops. It can actually shoot in portrait or landscape. This is the secret to the live streaming, or one of the secrets to the live streaming. This and that and the microphone and the travel monitor. So this is actually how MSI ships it to you. This is a USB-C travel monitor, but check it out. It's got a tripod mount. We'll take a look at this in a second. This is a 1080p IPS display, so it's really good for image quality. It's very lightweight, which is great because it doesn't soak up a lot of room in my backpack. I mean, there's one, sometimes two laptops in here. It also comes with a nice right angle USB-C cable. Just one second. Got a trackball mouse, an extra lens for my camera. The camera is a Lumix. It's an S5 IIX with the 16 to 35 millimeter lens. Like, this is the main camera. Like, this is a good camera. And the autofocus on this is good. Panasonic has historically had weak autofocus, and so, like, the camera stuff is in this other part of the bag. And I also have a 3D printed microphone thing for the DJI microphones. So let's talk about the live streaming thing. This is the Pro MP161E2U. It has its own built-in kickstand, but it also has a tripod mount right here. So if you have a monopod in your luggage, or a stand, like a selfie stick stand or something like that, you can set up the monitor like this, and it's actually secure and mounted and up off things. Now, it does have a kickstand, so you can just use it on a table. That's fine, but this is really handy. There's a couple of things that I really like about this monitor. One is that it's low enough power that it can be powered and get its display signal over a single USB-C cable. That's how I have it hooked up to my laptop. The other is that it has an explicit power button. It doesn't just come on and stay on. Sometimes I don't want to use it. I want to toggle the power button. That's great. It also has built-in sound capabilities. Not amazing, not fantastic. Okay, it's merely okay. This is kind of a business class laptop sound system. I wish that it had a full-size HDMI port, but the screen is literally thinner than an HDMI port would let it be. So it does have the smaller version of the HDMI connector. It's not the micro, it's sort of the mini version, like the flatter version of HDMI. So you can use a native HDMI connection, but HDMI doesn't really work all that great with power. So you really should hook up USB-C and HDMI if you're going to go that route. Whereas USB-C on most modern laptops, you just plug it in, it'll detect it, and you're good to go. This is 1080p, IPS, 60 hertz, relatively low power. It's advertised as low flicker, but it seems like a great travel monitor in my opinion, especially because it doesn't weigh anything. Now, my setup is a little different. Get the GPD Win Mini. This thing has 64 gigs of memory and 3 terabytes of storage. This is a pretty awesome and capable little Ryzen-based mini machine. I reviewed this a long time ago. If you missed that, you should check that out. This thing has 2 USB-C ports on the back. They're USB 4, actually, technically, and an Oculink port, so I can get really fancy with Oculink. Oculink is a PCI Express 4.0 interface. This thing can do 8 gigabytes per second. It's twice as fast as Thunderbolt 4. So, pretty awesome. It's as fast as Thunderbolt 5 in 80 gig mode, less overhead to use, but also not plug and play. The MSI monitor comes with this right angle USB, which is awesome because it is a weird right angle USB. It is difficult to find this cable stateside. With this setup, I also like to use a hardwired connection where possible. I have this Pine Phone USB docking station that's full-size HDMI out, which also works with the mini display, to USB wired Ethernet, but more importantly, power pass-through. So I can charge the laptop while using it. I don't have to charge the laptop while using it. This setup actually runs really well. And this display, this external display, so I can see what's going on with the camera and OBS, doesn't consume a lot of power. I can get at least 2.5, 3 hours of streaming with this setup. Now, a DJI Pocket 3 can function as a USB-C webcam. So, what that means is that I can plug this in either via Type-C or Type-A, either one. Although I find it slightly more convenient to plug it in via the Type-A port than Type-C. But since we're not going to power the mini laptop, we'll just at least, maybe that battery's dead. Maybe I may not have a choice here. The DJI Microphone 2 is wireless, and there's a wireless receiver built into the Pocket 3. And so you can have two of these paired with the Pocket 3 and get audio directly from these. They also have built-in hardware echo canceling, well, not echo canceling, but like noise canceling that you can toggle on and off. And they'll also do local recording, which is great because the Deity microphones that I bought to do local recording don't do local recording because that's some kind of a patent conflict. And DJI just doesn't care about that kind of stuff. So these work great for local recording and streaming to the camera. We, the consumer, suffer because patent trolls. Because sometimes with wireless microphones, the audio cuts out and then it's nice to be able to retrieve the file. I mean, it doesn't matter for a live stream, obviously, because the audio is just going to cut out and you're not going to fix it, but for editing and that kind of thing. So here's OBS recording. This isn't even recording in the Osmo Pocket 3, which would be even better quality. The Pocket 3 has a 1-inch Sony sensor, I guess, in the little gimbal thing. It doesn't look like it would, but it does, and it's really well designed. The DJI team really thinks outside the box in an entrepreneurial kind of way. Like, I'm really sort of envious that, an American team couldn't be as, like, they've done a lot of interesting innovation with the camera design and the stuff that they're doing with the microphone in terms of making life easy for this kind of thing. Like citizen journalism and that sort of stuff with this kind of a setup, super easy. And this holds, one of those microphones, and you can use this as a handheld microphone, and this actually works pretty great on location and everything else. And I just 3D printed the stem here. This is 12 cents worth of plastic. So there's a lot of creativity out there for people that are using this stuff, as well as, the entrepreneurial side of it. And I got the fancy case and the receiver so that I can also use this with the Panasonic camera, which this just goes right on top, and that works really well. And then I repair these. It works so well that I'm thinking about getting another set of microphones because it's a little bit of a pain in the butt to change the pairing between this receiver for my other camera and the receiver for this little thing. So I don't know. And it's also got a nice pocket storage thing. There's some like magnetic things for the lenses. But in terms of I'm ready to stream because this is OBS. And this is running Linux. I found Linux to be more reliable on the GPD and probably, most laptops that I've used for this kind of thing, especially over USB. USB for video capture historically hasn't been super amazing because USB is not perfectly stable. But for this setup, it works great. And then with the external monitor, I can just go enable that, and then we're good to go. Oh, by the way, the gimbal on this is also controllable from OBS. Again, just quality of life features. It's sort of nuts. So if I come down here and we do pan, I can do the panning and control from within OBS. Isn't that insane? And absolute tilt also. There's not the zoom is the only thing that leaves something to be desired on the Osmo Pocket 3. Like, it can zoom, but it's not really zooming. So that part's not fabulous, but the rest of this is. Like, this is shockingly good. This is a shockingly good, like, I'm not running on battery at the moment, but 8 cores, 64 gigs of memory. You can see we're not using a ton of CPU here. We're recording, and then I can also preview this on an external display, so I could show somebody else or have that going as well. So there you go. I can show somebody what's going on this display. I can still see this display or use my controls. I can put controls in OBS. I can control the camera. I can even wire up the joysticks on the GPD to control camera for live stream or whatever, and have everything going in my backpack. Now, what's in my backpack, I don't need to bother with the external display, but this setup is pretty awesome. You can also, if you need mouse control, you can also you can just hold it in your hand and move it around and do that kind of stuff. And so this is the live stream setup that I used for the stream with craft computing, and this setup worked great. And in that scenario, it was completely battery powered the entire time that we were there. And so that's what's in my bag. Now, I'm also a computer janitor, so this is also in my bag, which is a lot of fun. So this is the SiPed USB KVM. So this is a USB capture you can plug into VGA or HDMI on some other computer, and then that also feeds in like a USB webcam to your portable computer like OBS. And so this is what I often use for streaming. So like when we're doing a server setup or something like in the server lab and I want to show you the console or whatever, this is hooked up to that, and then this is what's capturing the footage, because this is just a USB video capture device that can also send keyboard and mouse events. So I can be using this like a remote display, like a physical display, like this display, but with a remote computer. Now, if I hook up an external display, then I can hook this up to that and then use this like a remote terminal as a second monitor on this computer. So this effectively becomes a rescue crash cart type setup, because this is sort of fun. So I did a video on this. You can check that out. This is another thing that's in my bag that is one of these things is not like the other, but all USB capture runs through here. I also have the Epiphan AV-IO for HDMI to USB. That's USB 3 capture. That also works really well with the setup. So I'm doing all these different USB capture things in different scenarios. The Epiphan is 4K. Now the DJI Osmo can do 4K capture, but you lose gimbal control and everything like that. At 1080p, you can even enable active track. This doesn't work when the DJI is capturing at 4K, but when you do that, it'll follow whatever you tell it. Not necessarily just a face, but anything that's moving in frame or something like that. And so that's a lot of fun because it's on a gimbal, and this is a lot of fun to do live streaming and that sort of stuff. So maybe I'll do more of that when I travel and stuff. Anyway, it was fun hanging out with Jeff from Craft Computing, and it was fun hanging out at the AMD AI event. Be sure to check out our coverage from that. I'm Will, this is level 1. This has just been a quick, what's in my bag? I'm not very good at this. I've never done it before. We'll see. All right. If you have any questions for me, hit me up in the forum, hit me up in the comments below. Thanks for hanging out. I'm signing out, and you can find me in Level 1 forums.